India and Indonesia, for instance, factory textile workers were predominantly male. In Japan and China, on the other hand, the first stage of industrialization instead entailed an almost completely female workforce, with girls coming from the countryside to work and live in the factories, a particular time in their life cycle. Third, education and alternatives in the job market mattered. In many pre-industrial societies, spinning and weaving were combined with agricultural activities as a side employment or seasonal work. In these cases, ranging from China to Indonesia, but also rural Germany and France, it was often women who did both the spinning and the weaving. In combination with petty trade, these were often the only alternatives available to married women, whereas men had a much larger range of professions to choose from. Also, with the increasing educational opportunities offered to Western women in the course of the 20th century, the range of career options broadened considerably. Women first rather chose factory or shop work than to perform straining work in the textile factories. Unfortunately, many uneducated women in present-day developing countries, where most of the basic process of the textile production have moved to, are not in such a position to choose other jobs. They are often lucky to find a job as a spinner or a weaver, and they can only accept the deplorable conditions they are laboring under. But I want to end on a positive note. Exploitation of labor has always existed, and may perhaps even always continue to exist. Regardless of mechanization and robotization, though, we will always need the minds and hands of people to produce goods and services. Female workers have historically been more prone to exploitation than men, because of their generally more precarious position in society. The textile production is a very powerful example of this, because the cheapness of female labor was so instrumental to establishing power relations between employers and employees, and between different regions of the world. However, I think there are ways to counter the worst forms of exploitation. First of all, in countries in the Global South, increasing initiatives have been taken to organize textile workers to appeal for better working conditions. These organizations, although sometimes clandestine, have tried to gain momentum when there was ample media attention for injustices such as child labor in factories, which is still continuing, but it's being made more visible, or the tragedy I was just talking about in Bangladesh. So this was a protest as a consequence of that tragedy. A second form of action to put pressure on textile firms to improve working conditions is, of course, raising consumer awareness in the countries importing clothing from low-wage countries. Initiatives such as the Clean Clothes campaign and protests against multinationals such as Gap or Benetton, who make use of cheap exploited labor, may have some effects. However, the extent to which people are willing to forego their cheap t-shirts and jeans and pay more for more sustainable products, and or the extent to which companies are willing to make less profit, is of course questionable. As long as serious efforts are not being made, especially the women and children textile workers of the world will continue to suffer from this race to the bottom in the quest for lower labor costs. Thank you very much.